Are you all aware of Teen Wolf the movie? And you might be also aware of how Stiles was not in the movie. Jeff Davis, the creator of the series, explains how the plot of Teen Wolf the movie may have changed if Dylan O'Brien's Stilinski had actually come back. How would it have changed? Let's dig in. Warning: Teen Wolf the movie spoilers ahead. Jeff Davis, the creator of the series, explains how Stilinski's appearance would have altered Teen Wolf the movie. The Nogitsune has returned, using Allison Argent to enrage Scott and his loved ones, and the McCall pack is back in Beacon Hills to deal with it. Alpha werewolf Scott McCall, who is no longer a teenager, is put to the test in a way that forces him to rejoin trusted friends and allies, as well as a range of supernatural beings, to battle a potent and dangerous foe that forces them all to confront their pasts. While several of his buddies were back, when Dylan O'Brien rejected the project, Stiles was prominently absent from the Teen Wolf movie. Wolfpack is set in a distinct universe, even though it is heavily based on Teen Wolf. It is based on a book by Edo van Belkom. Even so, the Paramount Plus project managed to include the character in the narrative, albeit in a terrible way. Scott, without a doubt, Liam Dunbar, Lydia Martin, and Derek Hale. Even Allison Argent had to claw her way back to life for this rebirth. She didn't precisely crawl out of the earth like Buffy did in Resurrection, but she did rematerialize while naked on a tree stump. Again, picture Season 3 Angel or Buffy without the trembling and trauma. No, for obvious reasons, Allison was portrayed as a more pure being rather than a shell-shocked demon, but this detour is genuine. Everyone did in fact return, with the obvious exception of Stiles. One of the biggest surprises in the Teen Wolf movie is when Lydia confesses to having broken up with Stiles after having several nightmares in which they both perish in a car accident. It was a heartbreaking confession, and the issue demands more attention. This begs the question of whether Stydia's division was caused only by O'Brien's absence from the Teen Wolf film. In an interview with TV Insider, Davis provides an intriguing response to the question of how Stiles' involvement would have altered the film's narrative. When a business decision is made, it's important to consider how it will affect the creative, and sometimes what you think will be detrimental to the film actually works out quite well. I adore that speech, therefore. It's sad but yet incredibly human at the same time, and I had a lot of fun writing it and watching her perform it out loud. It creates a compelling story. You're not sure, then, if he would still have broken them up if he had been present on the screen? I'm not sure. This comes as no real surprise. We already knew that Dylan O'Brien wouldn't be playing the same part in the film, and no, there isn't any controversy or antagonist to defeat. It was just a scheduling issue. According to O'Brien's interview with Variety, "I tried to make it work, but it all happened very fast. Since we all enjoyed the show, it's okay that they kind of tossed it at us without actually telling us it was occurring. We were attempting to understand it." He simply came to the conclusion that it was left in a position that was excellent for him and that he still wanted to leave it there. He is going to watch it the first night it's released and wish them luck. He won't be in it, but he hopes that it effing kicks ass. Boo! We need Stiles! Bring Stiles back! We're happy to announce that O'Brien's claim that his character wouldn't be in the movie isn't fully true, now that we've had our little meltdown. Do you recall the plot point where everyone disregarded Stiles' existence? Well, that's hardly a threat around here. We're thrilled that the show captures Stiles' unique personality so well. What truly happened to Stiles in Teen Wolf the movie is a legitimate question. Scott and he were figuratively brothers. The two of them literally shared how much they meant to each other as their high school careers came to an end in the last season. 15 years later, Scott is dealing with a very unique Teen Wolf dilemma with his revived first love, but Stiles is nowhere to be seen. Not much of it makes sense. Jackson Whitmore supported Scott and Lydia, but where was Stiles? What's his justification? Although nothing is explicitly stated, it is strongly hinted that it has anything to do with Lydia. Stiles departed Beacon Hills to enroll in the FBI program at George Washington University during the last season of Teen Wolf. Stilinski asks Derek, his advisor, to phone his son, an FBI agent, while he is looking into a burn site in the woods. He won't call though. It's possible that Stiles is dealing with significant issues or that his work is really demanding and consumes a lot of his time. It's not said whether it's for business or personal reasons, but as the narrative progresses, it appears more likely that his love life rather than his job is under siege by the fires destroying his life. Devastating news, and no one will criticize you if you need a moment to gather your thoughts. The end goals were always Lydia and Stiles, but in the following 15 years, something between them seemed to have gone downhill. The first warning came when Lydia, instead of Stiles, traveled with Jackson back to Beacon Hills to assist Scott. The subject swiftly shifts to Scott, wondering why Jackson is here, and the whereabouts of Stiles' hint is instantly incorporated into the larger plot. It may be inferred from Scott and Chris Argent's lack of shock or response that they were already aware of the gap between Stiles and Lydia, and would respectfully prefer not to dig further. Dig it, guys, people demand answers. The Nogitsune is the one who finally brings the truth to light. When the Nogitsune has Lydia and Jackson in his grip in the final act, he causes Lydia to lose it until she finally explains why she is experiencing such a great heartbreak. She explains to him, as well as the incredibly patient audience, why she left Stiles. A frightening premonition foretold his demise. She and Stiles were involved in a car accident and both were ejected from the vehicle in this reoccurring dream image. Stiles perished in the accident, but she managed to escape it alive. She broke up with Stiles and left in order to stop the vision from happening, believing that if she had never been in the car with him, his destiny would have been different. At least by Teen Wolf standards, a sound strategy. We're going to assume that Scott and Stiles' relationship is still intact, as there isn't any indication of it being broken up until after the heartbreak has passed. Therefore, it appears plausible that Stiles would have responded immediately if he had learned of Scott's situation. Unfortunately, he is not, and Jeff Davis, the creator of Teen Wolf the movie, has stopped there for now. To summarize, Stiles' absence in the Teen Wolf movie, however, needed to be justified considering how important he was in the original MTV series. Stiles has his own mystery fires to put out. His father, Sheriff Stilinski, explained, but he didn't go into further detail. The subject was never brought up again in the movie after that little scene. Although Lydia's lack of interest in approaching Stiles for assistance in light of the strange forest fires in Beacon Hills was a little weird, it made sense that Scott never tried to ask for his closest buddy. Undoubtedly, it had never seemed like a good idea to work on a Teen Wolf production without O'Brien. The excuse provided for Stiles' whereabouts in the Teen Wolf movie is unsatisfactory and disrespectful to the MTV show's lore and the connections that shaped it. The reunion project would have been more substantial if Stiles had returned, since it might have shown how his friendship with Scott has changed over the past 10 years. Additionally, the project should have done a better job of preparing Lydia's emotional confession for a more powerful impact. If Stiles had been present, the Teen Wolf movie might have been able to build up a sequel that thoroughly addresses the riddle underlying her nightmares. There are currently no formal plans to produce a follow-up tale, whether through a subsequent season of the television program or a movie. Nevertheless, according to Davis, Paramount Plus is open to producing further movies. The choice will ultimately depend on how well Teen Wolf the movie is received. The sequel movie is currently receiving largely mixed reviews from critics, but overall, there have been more positive comments. Hopefully, O'Brien can finally play Stiles in another project if it proceeds. Hope there will be more from this sequel. A Teen Wolf the second movie, a spin-off TV show. One has enough answers, as well as 1 or 2 appearances from O'Brien Stiles. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments.